Elvis Presley's ultimate stage disaster, full script. Picture this, 30,000 people watching as Elvis Presley's entire outfit tears apart on stage, leaving him practically exposed in front of everyone. But instead of running away in shame, what he did next turned a nightmare into one of the most talked about performances in rock and roll history. It's July 4, 1976, and America is celebrating its bicentennial. The Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan is packed beyond capacity. Everyone wants to see the king perform on Independence Day, and the energy inside that massive arena is electric. Elvis has already burned through classics like That's All Right and Love Me Tender, getting the crowd more hyped with each song. Now he's building toward the peak of his set with Burning Love, the track that always brings out his wildest stage moves. But nobody in that arena knows what's about to happen. Nobody realizes they're about to witness a moment that will become legendary for all the wrong reasons, and then all the right ones. Elvis is wearing his signature white jumpsuit, the American Eagle design covered in intricate embroidery and rhinestones that catch every spotlight. It's the kind of outfit that screams superstar. But this particular costume is hiding a dangerous secret. Over recent months, Elvis had put on weight, and his designer had stretched those seams as far as they could possibly go. The fabric is holding on by sheer willpower at this point, making things worse. The Silverdome's air conditioning chose today of all days to quit working. The venue is suffocating. Elvis is drenched in sweat, and that moisture is making the already tight costume cling to him even harder, putting brutal pressure on those overstretched seams. It's a ticking time bomb, and then there's how Elvis moves when he performs Burning Love. This isn't some gentle swaying. He goes all out with hip thrusts, spinning moves, dramatic gestures, and those explosive leg kicks that made him controversial 2 decades earlier. Every motion is putting stress on a costume that's already at its breaking point. He's right in the middle of Burning Love, at the exact moment where he unleashes his most powerful moves. He does that signature hip swivel, the move that made mothers across America clutch their pearls back in the 1950s. And then everyone hears it. Re-yip. The sound is so loud it gets picked up by his wireless mic and echoes through the entire dome. 30,000 people just heard Elvis's jumpsuit give up on life in real time, broadcast for everyone to experience together. This isn't a small tear we're talking about. The entire front of his jumpsuit splits open from collar to belt like someone pulled a giant invisible zipper. The whole costume falls open, leaving Elvis basically shirtless in front of a stadium full of people. The band keeps playing, but you can hear this collective gasp roll through the crowd like a wave. For just a second, the entire Silverdome goes dead silent as everyone's brain tries to process what their eyes are seeing. Most performers would freeze. Most would bolt off stage, signal for the curtain, do anything to escape. But Elvis? He's not wired like most people. His reaction is so fast, so perfectly Elvis, that some people in the crowd later swore it had to be planned. He glances down at his destroyed jumpsuit, looks back up at 30,000 stunned faces, and without hesitating even a heartbeat, he throws his arms wide open and shouts into the mic, "Well, I guess that's what happens when you put your heart into a song." The explosion of sound that follows is deafening. 30,000 people go from shocked silence to roaring laughter and applause in about 2 seconds flat. But Elvis isn't finished playing this moment. Having decided to treat this disaster like it's part of the show, he commits fully. He's still singing Burning Love, but now he's doing these exaggerated model poses, turning to his left side, then his right, showing off the ruined costume like he's on a runway. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces, somehow keeping the melody going, "it appears my tailor and I are going to have words after this show." The crowd is losing their minds. They're not watching an embarrassed performer trying to recover from a humiliating accident. They're watching Elvis turn catastrophe into comedy gold right before their eyes. Meanwhile, complete chaos has broken out backstage. Bill Ballou, Elvis's costume designer, is frantically searching for any replacement outfit that might work. Colonel Parker is wondering if they need to pull the plug on the whole show. Elvis's bodyguards are ready to storm the stage the second he gives them any signal that he needs help. But Elvis has a completely different plan forming in his head. "Charlie," he calls out to Charlie Hodge, his longtime friend playing guitar. "Bring me that towel." Charlie grabs one of those signature scarves Elvis usually tosses to screaming fans and throws it to him. But instead of using it to cover himself up like anyone else would, Elvis drapes it around his neck like it's a fashion statement. There, he tells the crowd with perfect comedic timing, "Now I'm appropriately dressed for the occasion." What happens next showcases why Elvis became a legend in the first place. His ability to read a room and turn any situation to his advantage is about to reach peak levels. "You know what, folks," Elvis says, walking right to the edge of the stage with his jumpsuit hanging open for everyone to see, "I think this calls for some audience participation. Y'all are going to help me finish this song." He starts conducting the entire stadium like he's leading a massive choir, getting all 30,000 people to sing along while he provides commentary and encouragement between verses. "I want to hear all the ladies sing." Thousands of female voices respond, "Burning love, burning love." "Now I want to hear all the men." The male voices thunder back, "Burning love." And everybody together now. The entire Silverdome is singing, "Burning love," at the top of their lungs while Elvis, standing there in his torn jumpsuit, conducts them like he's leading the world's largest rock and roll symphony. It's absolute magic. While Elvis is out there turning his wardrobe failure into an interactive spectacular, his team backstage is frantically trying to figure out what to do. But they're hitting a wall. Elvis's size is unique, and they don't have another jumpsuit that will fit him properly. That's when Jerry Sheff, the bass player, has a brilliant idea. "What if we don't try to replace it?" Jerry suggests. "What if we just make what he's wearing work?" Bill Ballou immediately understands the genius of this approach. They can turn this accident into an intentional design choice. During the next song while Elvis performs, "Hound Dog," Charlie Hodge and another crew member casually walk onto the stage like it's all planned choreography. In full view of everyone, they've got safety pins, fabric tape, and more of Elvis's signature scarves. They repair the jumpsuit right there on stage by pinning it together with decorative scarves, creating what actually looks like a deliberate, edgy new design. The colorful scarves create this layered, almost artistic look over the white jumpsuit. It's completely different from anything Elvis has worn before, and honestly, it looks incredible. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elvis announces as his crew finishes their on-stage tailoring session, "I'd like to introduce you to my new look, Disaster Chic." The audience absolutely eats it up. The improvised costume looks so intentional that several fashion designers in attendance later admitted they thought it was planned as part of the show's concept. But here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of derailing everything, the jumpsuit incident energizes both Elvis and the crowd. The shared experience of witnessing this disaster and laughing about it together creates this bond between performer and audience that makes the rest of the show feel incredibly intimate and spontaneous. Elvis starts weaving jokes about his fashion emergency into all his between-song banter. When he performs, "Don't Be Cruel," he changes some lyrics on the spot, "Don't be cruel to a heart that's true," and "Don't be cruel to a jumpsuit either, 'cause look what happens." What was supposed to be a 90-minute concert stretches into nearly 3 hours. Elvis is having so much fun with the improvised nature of everything that he keeps adding songs, telling stories, and interacting with the audience in ways he hasn't done in years. "You know what, folks," he says during what should be the end of his set, "this has been such a unique night that I think we should make it even more unique. What songs do you want to hear?" For the next hour, Elvis takes requests from the crowd, performing deep cuts and rare tracks he hadn't planned to sing. The hardcore fans are in heaven. The next morning, the story is everywhere. But instead of being portrayed as embarrassing, it's celebrated as proof of Elvis's professionalism and quick thinking. The Detroit Free Press music critic writes that Elvis proved why he's called the king, turning what could have been career-ending embarrassment into pure entertainment gold. Rolling Stone calls it the most human Elvis has ever seemed on stage, showcasing the quick wit and natural charisma that made him a star in the first place. The 30,000 people who were there that night feel like they've been part of something genuinely special. They didn't just see a polished performer doing his hits. They saw Elvis as a real person who could laugh at himself and handle unexpected chaos with grace. Many fans later say that this show, with all its unplanned chaos, became their favorite Elvis concert ever. Not despite the wardrobe malfunction, but because of it. Bill Ballou, initially mortified by his jumpsuit's failure, watches how well the improvised scarf design works and starts incorporating similar elements into future Elvis costumes. The layered scarf look becomes a signature element of Elvis's later jumpsuits, with scarves and fabric accents deliberately built into the designs. What started as an emergency repair becomes a fashion innovation. Sometimes the best designs come from accidents, Ballou later reflects. Elvis taught me that night that you can turn any mistake into an opportunity if you're creative enough. The entire concert, including the jumpsuit incident and all of Elvis's improvised comedy, gets recorded by several audience members. It becomes one of the most sought-after Elvis bootlegs among collectors. But it's not just fans who treasure these recordings. Comedy writers and improv performers study Elvis's real-time reaction as a masterclass in how to handle unexpected situations with grace and humor. For Elvis personally, this incident is significant because it reminds him of the joy that comes from spontaneous performance. His shows have become somewhat predictable and routine in recent years. The forced improvisation of that night rekindles his love for the unexpected moments that only live performance can provide. Joe Esposito, his road manager, notices the change immediately. Elvis seemed more relaxed and playful in his shows after that. I think the jumpsuit thing reminded him that audiences love authenticity even more than perfection. The incident becomes legendary in entertainment circles as the gold standard for handling onstage disasters. The Elvis approach becomes shorthand for embracing unexpected problems, making them part of the show, and keeping audiences engaged no matter what. Years later, Jerry Seinfeld studies this moment and says every performer should learn from what Elvis did that night. He turned his most vulnerable moment into his most triumphant one. That's not just good showmanship. That's art. Some music critics note that the jumpsuit incident is symbolic of where Elvis was in his career at that point. The elaborate costume represents the sometimes constraining persona he built around himself over the years. Its failure represents a chance to connect with audiences in a more human, authentic way. Music historian Peter Guralnick writes that when that jumpsuit ripped open, it was like Elvis was finally allowed to be himself again. For 3 hours that night, he wasn't Elvis Presley, the untouchable legend. He was just Elvis, a guy who could laugh at himself and have genuine fun with his audience. Today, this story gets told in entertainment industry workshops as a prime example of turning crisis into opportunity. Public speaking coaches cite it as a masterclass in recovering from unexpected setbacks with grace and humor. But beyond all the professional implications, the story reminds us of something deeper. Authenticity and humor can be more powerful than perfection. Elvis's willingness to laugh at himself and include his audience in solving his problem created a connection that was more meaningful than any flawless performance could ever achieve. The July 4, 1976 concert at the Pontiac Silverdome proved that Elvis Presley's greatest talent wasn't his voice, his looks, or even his legendary stage presence. It was his ability to connect with people as a human being. When his carefully crafted image literally fell apart in front of 30,000 people, Elvis didn't try to hide or make excuses. He laughed. He improvised. And he invited his audience to be part of the solution. In doing so, he reminded everyone in that arena, and everyone who's heard the story since, that the best moments in life often come not when everything goes according to plan, but when we're flexible enough to find joy in the unexpected. That's a lesson that reaches far beyond entertainment. That's a lesson about living with grace, humor, and authenticity, no matter what gets thrown at you. And maybe that's the real reason Elvis was called the King. Not because he was perfect, but because he knew how to turn his imperfections into something beautiful, something human, something that reminded us all that our greatest strength isn't in never falling apart. It's in how we handle ourselves when we do.